Tonight, the Epstein files, hidden for years, now heading to President Trump's desk. The fight for answers after decades of secrecy as survivors demand answers. Plus, Russian drones send NATO jets scrambling. Inside the escalating tensions and how Eastern Europe is getting ready for what could come next.
If there would be a war, it wouldn't take that much time, Russia to take over some of our land.
And from gospel greats to modern worship favorites, a new museum celebrates the history of Christian and gospel music in America, right in the heart of Music City.
It's just such a blessing to see God work in the way He has.
All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. The bill to release the Epstein files now waiting for President Trump's signature. Good evening in Washington, I'm Jenna Browder. Well, the long-awaited Epstein files could soon see the light of day. Today, the Senate passing a bill to force the Justice Department to release more information about the case it built against convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. President Trump has said he will sign the measure into law following months of political pressure. And here to break down what's next and other major headlines from Washington, senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright and Nathan Gonzalez, editor and publisher of Inside Elections. Great to have you both with us this evening. Kelly, to you first. So this push to release the Epstein files is really months in the making. What is the White House saying about it tonight? And is the president still planning to give it his signature?
Well, Jenna, good evening to you. So the president is planning to sign this bill, which of course would then open up the floodgates, if you will, for the Department of Justice to release all of the Epstein files within the next 30 days. And then people throughout the public can have an opportunity to read what's in those files. And basically, this really supports the MAGA base, which actually was ruffled, had its feathers ruffled when the president kept resisting releasing all of the files. They wanted it. This is something you have to remember, that the president campaigned on release the Epstein files, and many people within his administration, like Kash Patel, the FBI director, said that they would release the Epstein files, and then when it came time to do that, they didn't. And so the messaging that the White House gave slowed everything and slow-walked all of this and caused a lot of fodder for the Democrats to actually criticize the president, to say, what are you hiding? Well, the president maintains that he has done nothing wrong. In fact, the president has gone so far to say that some of the Democrats should be actually looked at in terms of their relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, like former President Bill Clinton and former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers. The president, by the way, has maintained not only not doing anything wrong, but actually kicking Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago because he believed that he was a creep and a pedophile.
Nathan, President Trump, he could have released these Epstein files really at any time, so why wait for Congress to now force it? And what do you think the political calculation is here?
Well, first, I'm not exactly sure. And I think that for the White House, this has not gone the way that the White House wanted it. Their hand is being forced by Republican members on the Hill who support this as well, right? If it was just partisan, just Democrats wanting to have these files released and it was a sheer partisan play, then the White House would more easily be able to play it off. But because there is some bipartisan consensus that kind of forced the president's hand, I think he saw that what was coming and decided to kind of get on board. Now, until we know what's in the files, we just have to wait and see. But if the files sort of, if it supported Trump as being a hero, as someone who was watching out for, watching out for underage girls or anything, I think we would have seen these files already. But because it's likely to be a little bit more complicated than that, we're seeing a slow walk. We're seeing a slow walk from the White House.
Yeah, on the other side, people are saying if there was stuff about President Trump in there, Democrats definitely would have released it at this point. Kelly, another high-profile Justice Department case is facing some serious questions tonight. A federal judge now questioning whether the indictment against former FBI Director James Comey was valid, after prosecutors admitted the full grand jury actually never saw it. What is the White House saying about this tonight and how the case was handled?
Well, listen, at this point, the White House has not publicly commented on the case. This is a matter for the Department of Justice to handle, and that's likely what the White House would refer this case to, and that's the Department of Justice. And just as you stated, a Department of Justice prosecutor did admit that they had a procedural error in this, and that the grand jury information that was so necessary for all of the grand jurors to see was only seen by the foreperson and one grand juror. So because of this procedural error, it could put the Comey case in a little bit of jeopardy. We'll wait and see exactly how all of this plays out.
Yeah, Nathan, Comey says the indictment is politically motivated. How do you see this? Do you think this case is in serious legal trouble?
Well, I mean, I think it was politically motivated. I mean, that doesn't mean that he didn't do anything wrong, but I think the president has been very clear in wanting to put his opponents or critics through what he feels like he went through. And so even if the case is botched and it doesn't even go to trial, I think part of what the White House wanted to do in terms of having opponents feel that pain, go through legal process, now they have to say that they were indicted. I think that it's already achieved some of the goal that they were trying to reach.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes. We'll, of course, continue to follow it. Kelly, let's turn now to the growing relationship between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. President Trump spoke today at the Saudi Investment Forum, a day after he hosted the Crown Prince at the White House. What do we know about these deepening ties, Kelly, and what does President Trump hope to accomplish here?
Yeah, so Jenna, this event took place at the Kennedy Center, and the president was effusive yet again about his relationship with MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, who, of course, is the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. This has been a two-day relationship that they have shared with the world. The president, again, thanking MBS for the $1 trillion that he's brought to America to infuse into the economy. He is really strategic, however, in terms of wanting Saudi Arabia to play an important role in the international government board that will take place in Gaza, in rebuilding Gaza and bringing more peace to the Middle East. The president also wants Saudi Arabia to become a member of the Abraham Accords. Now, in order to achieve that, he will have to actually be able to get Saudi Arabia to agree to do this without a two-state Palestinian solution, which is exactly what Saudi Arabia wants before they sign the Abraham Accords. And historically, if you look at all of this, when Saudi Arabia came close to signing those accords with Israel, October 7th broke out. And so here we are front and center where the president's actually trying to push for this and pull for this. In fact, the president even posted today on Truth Social that he was bringing in the Saudi Arabian and other Arab countries to actually find out how they can settle the situation that's flaring up in Sudan right now.
Yeah. Nathan, I'm curious your thoughts on what we saw yesterday, the Saudi Crown Prince at the White House.
Well, admittedly, I think one of the things that stuck out to me was when the president was asked about the murder of a former Washington Post journalist. And in the previous Trump administration, the CIA said that the Crown Prince was involved in that incident. And here, lately now, the president is kind of taking a different stance about who knew what and when. And he said kind of, well, things happen. He was a controversial guy, and so I think that was frustrating, maybe just as a journalist, to see the president react in a different way.
Yeah, there were definitely some sharp elbows thrown for sure.
Yeah, if I could add to that, you know, Nathan's right. A lot of journalists looked at this, and we follow this case very closely right here at CBN as well. I wasn't a member of the team then, but I know that the case was covered extensively, and they saw what was at stake with the Khashoggi murder. And now, like Nathan was pointing out just yesterday in the Oval Office, the president becoming very testy in defending MBS.
Yeah. Yeah, I was saying, you know, we saw a lot of some pretty, you know, quite a few barbs thrown from the president defending Saudi Arabia and the Crown Prince. All right, Nathan, before we go, a legal battle is unfolding that could shape control of Congress. The Supreme Court now taking up a case blocking Texas's redrawn congressional map, a map backed by President Trump that would have added 5 Republican seats. Nathan, what does this mean for Republicans?
Well, this is huge. The White House has made a concerted effort to focus on Republican states and trying to get them to redraw maps to help Republican candidates to try to insulate themselves and hold the majority in a midterm election that could be a little bit rocky for the president. Texas was the big piece, the ability to gain between 3 and 5 seats. That is now in jeopardy. We'll see what the Supreme Court decides, but Republicans went through with this. Democrats responded with California and in other states, but California Democrats could gain between 3 and 5 seats. That is going to happen. That's not going to that's already in place. And so if that map has been pushed aside, then it just increases Democratic chances of winning the House of Representatives in the midterm elections.
Yeah, the implications are huge ahead of 2026. All right, Nathan and Kelly, thank you both so much.
Sure.
Great to see you. Coming up, from Lithuania to Poland, Russian drones are testing NATO's edge. How Eastern Europe is gearing up as fears of a Russian attack grow. Overseas tonight, another deadly church attack in Nigeria. Officials say gunmen opened fire overnight, killing 2 people. It's the latest in a wave of violence now drawing global attention. At the UN, the U.S. is calling out the persecution of Christians and urging action. UN Ambassador Mike Waltz joined rapper Nicki Minaj and a group of faith leaders Tuesday to speak out for religious freedom.
Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray.
Folks, we have an entire faith that is being...
Waltz said an entire faith is being erased, one bullet at a time. Open Doors, a group that supports persecuted Christians, says Christians in Nigeria are targeted by Islamic militants. Analysts, though, point to data showing most victims of overall violence are Muslims. And while arrests are rare, Nigeria's president says the government is working to protect all religious minorities. In Europe, military tensions are rising fast. The European Union now launching a major defense push designed to move troops and tanks quickly across the continent if war breaks out with Russia. It comes as Russian drones continue flying over the borders of NATO countries, raising concerns that a wider conflict could be on the horizon. CBN's George Thomas reports from Warsaw, Poland.
Across Lithuania, fears of a Russian strike aren't just headlines, they're real concerns shaping daily life. Here at an after-school drone course, 11-year-old Emilius Benko is learning how to build, program, and fly one.
It's basically a drone simulation where you can go to single player or multiplayer.
In recent months, Lithuania and its Baltic neighbors, Estonia and Latvia, have reported a sharp rise in Russian drone activity, sometimes inside their airspace. These small nations sit just miles from the Russian border. This has led Lithuania to begin public defense programs like this as part of a broader push to prepare for any crisis.
We develop kind of a strategy how we are preparing our citizens for, militarily, and how we're preparing all the rest of the citizens to build the resilience of our population.
And it's not just the Baltics feeling the pressure. Russian drones have also crossed into Polish, German, Danish, and even Belgian airspace. In September, 20 Russian drones entered Poland, prompting officials here to temporarily close the main airports. To counter the threat, Poland and Romania are using an American-made anti-drone system.
The American MEROP system being used in Poland and Romania is cheaper than deploying a fighter pilot and uses drones to attack drones. It's been tested in Ukraine, is small enough to fit in the back of a pickup truck, and can accurately detect drones and counter them using AI to navigate when communications are jammed.
As Vladimir Putin ramps up his hybrid war, many in Poland quietly worry about the unthinkable: war with Russia.
I've seen some reports that our army is not doing great, and that if there would be a war, it wouldn't take that much time Russia to take over some of our land.
In recent months, thousands of Poles here in Warsaw have signed up for military training. The government aims to create an Israeli-style reserve force numbering some 500,000.
I've recently been participating in a public debate on what happens and what I would do as a citizen, whether I would run away or I would stay and fight. And I have to admit that I don't know what I'm going to do.
In September, 30,000 Polish and NATO troops took part in one of the largest military drills in the country's history. The exercise unfolded less than 60 miles from the Suwalki Gap, a narrow stretch connecting the Baltic states to the rest of NATO. Experts say if Russia ever attacks, this could be one of its first targets.
The importance and strategic significance of the Suwalki corridor is undeniable.
Last month, a new highway opened linking the Baltic states to Poland. It cuts right through the Suwalki Gap between Belarus and Russia's Kaliningrad enclave.
It is a very important artery not only for the movement of goods and people, but also for military mobility.
With Russian drones testing NATO's borders and tensions rising across Europe, one question looms large: not if the alliance is ready, but how soon it may have to prove it. George Thomas, CBN News, Warsaw, Poland.
Thank you, George. And up next, a new museum hits a high note in Nashville. We're taking you inside the first ever museum dedicated to Christian and gospel music. Welcome back. The campus ministry Unite Us is wrapping up its fall events and ending strong. More than 6,000 people gathered for worship, prayer, and preaching at Clemson University's Rodeo Arena. Bryce Crawford and Maddie and Tonya Pruitt spoke to the crowd. The ministry reports hundreds of lives changed at the event and 78 baptisms. CBN News has produced a documentary on how the Lord is working in the lives of these students. It's called Revival Generation. It's excellent. Go to revivalgeneration.com to find out how you can watch it. Well, from campus revivals to Sunday sanctuaries, Christian music has a rich history that's inspired millions. And now it finally has a home to tell that story. Ephraim Graham takes us to Nashville for an inside look at the new Museum of Christian and Gospel Music.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
Nashville, Tennessee is Music City, home to the famed Ryman Auditorium, the Grand Ole Opry, Country Music Hall of Fame, and now
1, 2, 3.
the very first museum of Christian and gospel music, where every wall and case are rich with music stories, like the story of Grammy Award-winning singer Dr. Bobby Jones, who hosted one of the longest-running original series in cable television history, showcasing gospel music.
As we walk this museum, we will see your imprint and your face even on the walls. How does it feel to see this museum?
Unbelievable. It's just such a blessing to see God work in the way he has and support my thoughts and my energy and what I had tried to do for him, for the kingdom. And then to see it actuate is really amazing for me. And I love every minute of it.
So get ready for some dynamic gospel music. Gospel music's history and its future are on display here.
I want you to repeat and finish this statement for me, if you will. I fell in love with Christian and gospel music when?
I heard Mary Mary for the first time.
Really?
Yes, Mary Mary is a massive part of my musical upbringing. We love singing Shackles and Heaven and church, and there's a CD with a song on there called Little Girl, and I would just sing it with my friends. It was just so encouraging to us at the age we were at, you know, and just growing up in the world, and you know, so it's just, those are my people.
Recording artist Tarian is among the many young artists whose music story is inspired by the lives that have given birth to these walls.
We're sitting in the first ever Christian and Gospel Music Museum in the city you call home now.
Yeah.
What's it feel like?
It is so surreal. You know, you work in this industry for years and you get to see these artists and see their heart for the Lord, you know, so now to have their ministries cemented here in Music City is a huge deal, you know, and I think honors the work the Lord has done in their life. And I'm just grateful to be here today.
We decided to start with Fist Jubilee Singers.
Steve Gilreath is the museum's executive director.
I think we have the most comprehensive museum for all genres of Christian and gospel music that people will see anywhere. So we've tried to keep it interesting and just mainly try to tell great stories.
If we painted this museum's picture-perfect story by number, we're looking at many people coming together to raise nearly $15 million
to build out some 11,000 square feet of exhibit space over the course of 17 months, showcasing hundreds of artists. And this is the Gospel Music Association's fourth attempt to build a museum.
It's hard to build a museum. I've been to 30 museums getting ready to run this one and create it. I've been all over the country. And the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame spent a day up there with their CEO and others, and I've heard so many stories of how difficult it is, even for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Country Music Hall of Fame. So it's not unusual that we've had false starts here. The amazing part is that we got it done. We're open. Thank you, Jesus.
If you had a prayer for this going forward, what is it?
It's a prayer for connection, taking people back to the moment they met our Savior, and many, many times that happened in conjunction with music.
Oh, happy day. Let's keep saying it. Oh, happy day.
Memorable music, now with a museum to remember and keep its stories alive. Ephraim Graham, CBN News, Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day.
Very cool. Thank you, Ephraim. And still ahead, decking the halls with rhinestones. We'll show you the sparkly scene at one woman's home. Finally tonight, a Denmark woman is taking her Christmas decor this year to the next level by covering her home in rhinestones. It's a project Ksenia began back in September. She was preparing to combat what she calls the gray season in Denmark that's typically marked by rain and darkness. She started adding the sparkly rhinestones to the outside of her home, gluing them on one by one. Ksenia shared the project on her social media with a goal of 1 million rhinestones by Christmas. Using her background in coding, Ksenia started working on a 3D model to make the process more efficient. Along the way, she's quickly picking up millions of viewers who are supporting her efforts.
It's not just for me to have rhinestones on the house, it's to shine and make people smile.
And while it's still a work in progress, Ksenia currently has put up almost 600,000 rhinestones. So she's more than halfway there. Good for her. I love to see it. I love seeing the Christmas decorations. All right, that's going to do it for Faith Nation. We'll see you tomorrow.